we are looking not only at a new way of running an economic system or running a country's economy, we're looking at a new way of being human. And that's rather wonderful because we're using our brains and our imagination to develop the ideas we're interested in.
Hello, this is the weekly Tradecast, a podcast brought to you by UNCTAD and Development. I'm Sarah Toms. We're exploring how major events are shaping trade and development and how that affects billions of people around the world. This week, we're looking at the economic power and potential of creativity with our special guest, John Howkins. Countries, companies, and universities around the world are eager to embrace innovation and people with fresh ideas. The creative economy, ranging from art, film, and theatre to advertising, fashion, music, and video games, is already worth at least $1.5 trillion, and it's growing fast. UNCTAD and Development says the industry and its creative solutions can support sustainable development, promote diversity, and help overcome global challenges. So how can we make money from ideas, and how can that power a brighter future for everyone? Well, to find out, we're joined now by author, speaker, and creativity expert John Howkins. John, who actually coined the term creative economy, is visiting professor at the University of Lincoln and vice dean and visiting professor at the Shanghai School of Creativity. Well, welcome to the show, John. It's a pleasure to have you here. Creativity obviously has existed throughout human history. So why is it seen as such an important force right now?
It has existed from the very beginning, and I spent a very happy few months recently trying to find the first evidence of creativity. And it sort of goes back to about 100,000 or even 500,000 years ago. And what struck me was the increasing speed of creativity. It has accelerated and accelerated through history. And now we almost get instant feedback. So if somebody does something in any area, whether it's fashion, design, tech, software, hardware, anywhere in the world, people who are working in a similar field will immediately know about it and bring it into their own work. So feedback is almost instantaneous. And AI is now making that speed of creativity almost ridiculously fast because it's almost instantaneous. So why has this happened? I think it's happened because of initially technology, communications technology. I think also we became better at managing our own creativity. And also we wanted to buy more of it. We talk a lot about the supply of creativity. Most people focus on that. I'm equally interested in the demand for creativity. And it started by being very much a supply-led activity. And then some time ago, 100 years ago or so, mass demand for creativity began to kick in. And the amounts of money that we all now want to spend on making our lives more pleasurable, beautiful, elegant, convenient, faster, cheaper, that is what is now driving the speed of creativity.
A lot of people will say, I'm a creative person. But what does creativity mean in the sense of turning these ideas into something real that actually benefits economies and people and the planet?
I think everybody is born creative, and our most creative years are actually 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we go to school and it all becomes rather complicated. So I think everybody does have that creativity instinct. Turning your ideas into a product or a service or something that you can describe, put a price tag on, put out there in the market, that's a much more complicated step. So yes, creativity is present and I think a very important element in every human. One can get rather spiritual about this, but I think it is there and important to every human. The interest, the desire, and then the ability to make a living out of that is restricted by choice to a relatively small number of people. And those two things are quite different.
How do we measure this value of ideas then?
Ideas have no value. There are a million ideas floating around in the air. Every company, every organization, UNCTAD, United Nations. There are a million ideas floating around today in these buildings. They have no commercial economic value. The economic value kicks in when somebody identifies a market for that idea and embeds it, surrounds it, puts it in an envelope, if you like, where it can be put into that marketplace and the price tag can be put upon it. This is recognized in copyright law, for instance, because you can't actually copyright an idea.
Right.
You can only copyright the expression of an idea. So the idea to sing a beautiful song, and the idea to write a song about whatever, or the idea to write a book has no value and is not protected by copyright law. What is protected by copyright law is when you actually do it and you write the book. But the copyright, again, only has value if people want the book.
That definitely makes it more complicated, doesn't it? So what areas of the creative economy then show the most promise for trade and businesses, and particularly for developing countries that could really harness some of these opportunities?
I suppose the quick answer really is anything that's digital, because it's easier to make and it's easier to distribute and it's easier to export. So digital services is where the major growth is. And the growth there is significantly higher than the growth in manufactured goods. And that applies to creative economy and to routine manufacturing. But if a government came to me or a minister came to me and said, what should we concentrate on? I would ask a question back, and I would say, what are you good at? What are your people good at? Where do you have a group of people, particularly young people? What do they want to do? What are they really, really interested in? What do they think about all day? What do they know about? And I'd find out what that is, and it could be one thing, it could be half a dozen things. And then I would say, right, we're going to support you. So I wouldn't look at sort of global analysis of where growth is. I would look at the talents and the ambitions of the people in my city or in my country.
So how is UN Trade and Development supporting this then?
UNCTAD has done an amazing job in the last 20 years in putting creative economy high on the agenda of the international debate, and also in collecting data and statistics. That's critical. Governments can't move, they can't devise policies, they can't intervene unless they can justify it with data and statistics. And UNCTAD has gathered together and updated on a regular basis a lot of data and statistics. And then they also provide a very good platform for people to share experience. And there's nothing that can beat someone saying, look, I tried this and it didn't work, but then I tried this and this did work, and this is why it worked. And sharing that in a conversation with other ministers from other countries. It's the data, it's sharing experiences and case studies, and it's also recognizing the unique talents of the people, and those are the people you want to identify and you want to support them.
What more can governments and companies and also multilateral organizations do to support that?
I would say listen to the creatives. And it's often, when you move from agriculture to manufacturing, or you move from manufacturing to services, or you move to creative economy, all the policies, all the bureaucracy, all the rules, all the form filling is geared to the old style of creating wealth. And we have now to do an audit of everything that governments do and all the independent regulatory bodies, all that they do, and make sure it is fit and suitable for the new world that we are living in. And if governments don't do that, they will just lag further and further behind, regardless of what grand statements they make or what grand policies or declarations of hope and ambition they put out. They've got to get down to what we call the nitty-gritty of how do you help these people who are often struggling against laws and regulations that are out of date.
Well, that brings me to my next point, because as you said, with technology evolving so quickly, where is the right balance between being creative, being innovative, and also regulation?
Regulation, I would say, on the British and European and American model, which I think are good models, not perfect, but they're good models, is you listen to the creatives. Politicians haven't got the time, haven't got the knowledge, haven't in many cases got the inclination to work out what's best for these new industries. They have to listen to what the industry says, and then they have to make their judgment.
How do you think the impact of this sort of creative revolution, how does it compare to, say, the Industrial Revolution? And what can we expect in the future then? What will our lives be like?
I think it will be as dramatic and extensive as the Industrial Revolution, which
really
changed the working habits of most people in every country, but also changed where they live. New towns arose because of access to energy and water and transport. New forms of housing arose. New political centres arose. New cultures emerged as well. So I think once an economic system, if you like, reaches a sort of tipping point, which is maybe 20-30% of the working population, then every aspect of society is changed. Foreign policy is changed. Trading partners change. The way policy is made is changed. So I see no reason why the creative economy should not have an equally far-reaching effect as the industrial economy. What that will be, I think that's a hard thing to say. The core of the creative economy is giving people confidence and the opportunity to do the work that they're interested in and to come up with new ideas and to bring those new ideas into their work and to work in companies where they are expected to change the system or the products that the company is making. So that by itself is wonderful and most enjoyable. We like the results. It produces a degree of instability into society. If everybody is coming up with their ideas and everybody is saying, I want to put my ideas out there in the marketplace, you can get a society which is fragmented and quite unstable. So my view about this is that we are looking not only at a new way of running an economic system or running a country's economy, we're looking at a new way of being human, if you like. And that's rather wonderful because we're using our brains and our imagination to develop the ideas we're interested in. We have to sort of work out how we can bring societies together. At the moment, there's a trend in many societies to become more fragmented and not to talk to each other, even though we have the best communication technology in the world that we've ever been. I mean, dramatically so. The role of government is very much to acknowledge that, but to bring people together, to make sure that they have a vision of a society where that sort of personal expression is recognized and contributes to a whole. We are very close to the tipping point. And we need the politicians to be able to understand what is happening, to recognize the benefits of that new economic system and social system, and also to provide leadership to the people who either don't want to be creative or who disagree with what's happening, where they are brought into the discussion.
Thank you so much, John. That was really interesting chat there. That was our special and creative guest, John Howkins. Tune into the weekly Tradecast next week and every week for more insights on the most pressing issues around the world of trade and development. And there's even more on our website, UNCTAD.org. I'm Sarah Toms in Geneva. Goodbye for now.